My name is Jason Williams, aka JP Slouch, also known as Broom. I've been making music since I was a kid. I think around 8 years old, and it's my passion. Along the way, I've met up with some pretty interesting characters, all with their own unique stories, views, and talents. This podcast show celebrates those friends I've amassed in my many years of ups and downs, in this crazy trip that we all call life. Join me as I go 4 drinks deep with JP Slouch and PALS.
Yo, what's up, man?
Not much.
How you doing?
There, you got it's like the Mario Brothers plant.
Your what?
Your plant. You have like a Mario's brother plant. The
Audrey too.
Oh, Audrey. Yeah, there you go. Even better. That's awesome.
Yeah, what's up, brother? Happy Saturday.
I got my my lizard and my plants.
Hell yeah, man. Well, dude, tell everyone who you are and what you do.
All right, so my name is Morgan Tilford. I'm basically, at this point, just a test driver at a repair shop. I've always been a driver. I used to drive uncontracted to UN Secret Service for the energy department between Pakistan and the U.S., so I've been through some pretty wild driving tales, but right now I'm 44. I live, my folks, my gecko. Life is simple. Life is good.
When I first started this podcast, to be honest, you were the first person I thought of about putting on this show, because you have went through some of the most insane experiences that anyone I know, from like the toppest of the top highs to like some of the craziest things that have happened with you, man.
Oh, yeah.
Out of everyone I know, you are definitely the most interesting friend that I have out there, Morgan, for sure.
Well, you're one of my best friends and my favorite singer.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I think you're probably one of the few people to say that.
I like your singing. Your singing's good.
Well, dude, I believe we met through Woodside, through, again, the illustrious
we
Aaron
met at Woodside
Sully.
High School probably about 1994, 95 maybe.
And when I first met you, you were always still a fan of music and everything, too. Can you tell me in your own words, what is like your life story? How did you grow up and get into music and get into robotics and all the stuff that you're into right now?
All right. Well, in terms of music, that's going to definitely be my dad. He plays the bass in Rolling Stones covers band, and he grew up playing the bass in nightclubs and stuff like that with rock and roll. So when he brought me up, some of my earliest memories are being like an infant, basically, but being in his tuba. He would put me inside of his tuba and play the tuba. Nice. And I totally remember that. That's like one of the first things I remember about my dad, And so I was born out in San Rafael back in 1978. My dad had received an assignment to start this heat mirror industry, which became low E glass, which is basically like sunglasses for buildings, so they don't have to have as much air conditioning. And it was a really important development. So he got an assignment from the feds to move this stuff and start the industry in a month. Otherwise, they were going to come after him for theft. So he's kind of a baller. And I grew up down in Palo Alto, and then later in Portola Valley, which very strange, affluent towns. Portola Valley even more so than Palo Alto. My next door neighbor, he had a pipe organ in his house that was bigger than Stanford's pipe organ. And you could see the windows shake when he would play it. It was really cool. And every 4th of July, he'd run over a car with one of his army tanks. He had the world's largest private military vehicle collection, including the largest non-rail guns. Huge guns, 90-mile-an-hour range on some of these things, or 90-mile range on some of these guns. So I put my lizard away there. He just took a huge crap on my computer. But so anyways, back when I was in grade school, like fourth grade, the FBI came over to my house and they were asking, hey, can we interview you about your neighbor? And I was like, I'm here by myself. You should probably wait till my folks are home. And they were like, yeah, we know you're home by yourself. That's why we're here. And that's when my life started to get a little weird. I knew it was going to get weird. We did those state tests, those damn little bubble tests. It's like the little kid SATs,
Yep. Where the Army actually gave you those tests, right? Was it the one where the Army came to school and to figure out that you'd be perfect for the Army?
It was more like I tested really high. So my teacher took me aside in third grade and said, look, this is objectively as good that you did so well, but statistically this means that you're going to have a really rough life. Like, you're not going to be able to relate to people that well. It's going to be hard for you. She's like, it's good for us that we get the score from you, but it's bad for you. Because I did upper 99th percentile of the international PhD level reading comprehension.
Wow. And this was in fourth grade?
That was in third grade.
Third grade.
So in fourth grade, when Reagan and Gorbachev were going to do the nuclear peace talks at Stanford, the KGB and the CIA were concerned that somebody could go to my neighbor's house, load one of the tanks, and kill the president and the prime minister, I guess he was. I'm not sure. Basically, I knew him really well. He was my neighbor. I'd known him for over a year there. And I told him, this is one of the happiest people I know in my life. I see him every day. I take the bus home, and I see him leaving to go get his kids in his 83 Dodge Ram van. It's this tacky van, and he loves it, and he's just got a huge smile on his face. Like, this is not the guy to start World War III. He's not going to do it. And from what I understand, everything is locked up according to protocol and legal statutes, that the breech blocks, the part of the gun that you put the shell into, is locked up in a separate area of the property. So somebody can't just show up, load up around, and light one off.
Good.
So it's not like there's keys to military machinery like that. You don't have a key to start it. It's just a button that says go. If you know what you're doing, you can go and drive it.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran over 4 of my cars. I had the first car was not mine. It was my folks. It was a big Ford station wagon, like a National Lampoon style station wagon. And I ran over pretty good. And then he ran over the first car that I learned to drive on, which was a 1980 Cressida. A really cool car. It had a fuel injection and an inline six, like the Supra, and it predated Lexus. It was Toyota's luxury car before they had a Lexus line. I got in trouble for dancing on the car after the tank ran it over. The guy driving the tank, my neighbor, he didn't care, but other people were jealous that I was dancing on it. And then he ran over my red Corolla. I don't know if you remember.
No, not the red Corolla that I used to go in the car with you. That one,
right? That was the one that most people were scared crapless in, aside from my pickup truck. The pickup truck was also pretty cool, but he didn't run over my pickup truck. He ran over the Corolla.
Why is he running over all your cars for?
Well, the Corolla, I told my dad not to fuck with the engine oil, and he fucked with the engine oil, forgot to put the oil cap back on, all the oil slung out of the engine, and he totaled it. But I did crazy things in that car, man. We made it to Lisa Cox, our friend Lisa. We made it from Woodside High School to Monterey Road, Gilroy, got 2 deli sandwiches, and drove back to Woodside High School in Roma City in the rain, and we did it in 40 minutes. Including getting the sandwiches.
Pretty impressive.
So yeah, that was pretty wild. And there was one time I got a ticket for going 55 miles an hour plus, 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, 55 plus, when it was a 55 mile an hour federal speed limit still. And I was out in Stockton in that car, and I'm blasting down, going snowboarding, take a wrong turn, end up in Stockton or something, and there's nobody there, right? And there's this cop getting on the freeway, and I'm maxing out the Corolla. I don't know what speed it does, but it's above 120, and it's pegged, and we're with my buddy. We're just going as fast as this thing will light up. With the timing retarded, it had a computer-controlled carburetor, so it would always. There's no governor, there's no rev limiter on that engine. It just takes longer to get up to speed, and we had gotten all the way up to speed. This cop, from his perspective, after I stopped later, because there was a cop up in front of us So we slowed down, and to slow down, we had to roll the windows down on the car because I tried the brakes. It didn't do anything. So we rolled the windows down, and that like broke aero, and that slowed us down to where I could drop a gear and slow down and get to the speed limit before we caught up to this cop. But the cop who was chasing me behind me, he took like a half hour to catch up. When he did catch up, he was all freaked out. Like, he got right on my ass, pulled me over, you know, like comes up to the car. He's all panting and shit. He's like, "Where are you going in such a hurry?" I said, "I'm going snowboarding." And he says, "Son, the snow's not going to melt." You know? And he says to me, "Yeah, I'm in my new police interceptor, and I'm all stoked. I get up to 140. I see you just blasting down the freeway. I'm going to catch up to you, and I get to top speed, and you just take off like I'm standing on the side of the road." He's like, "What'd you do to this car?" We get into some crazy stories. I'm telling him about acid trips and like all this shit, you know? And I figure my license is boned, so I might as well just like have fun talking to this cop, you know? He doesn't arrest me, which I'm surprised at. I do get the ticket in the mail like a month later, and it just says 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, 55 miles. I couldn't figure it out. And maybe like 10 years later, like a little bit of experience or brevity comes in, and I think to myself, man, this guy did not want to admit on paper that his brand new Interceptor, like his 98 Interceptor, lost to a 1988 Toyota Corolla that was stock. Like, he just doesn't want to admit that. He'll get laughed out of that car, so he'll be in one of the old boxy Caprices again faster than you can write a parking ticket, you know?
Do you remember the day that you first got that car?
The day that I first got that car, it had been my mom's car, and they recommended that she get it at the dealership over the fuel injected one. She got like hooked up, right? She had gotten, I think, a Volvo. That's another car that we ran over. And the Volvo actually fought the tank. When the tank went to crush, it was like a 2000 or something like that, Volvo 240. It actually bogged the engine down on the tank, and it was all brr, 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 and then finally just goes crush, you know? But it actually fought it for a minute. None of the other cars fought the tank. Everything else just got wiped out, you know? We had a 26% grade gravel driveway, which is really, really steep, right? Barely steep enough that the fire engine can go up it with the water or whatever. It was like the steepest we could legally have. And it was gravel. And it was like crazy hard to drive on. I learned stick by going to the steep part of the driveway and the gravel, pull the e-brake, be stopped, pull the clutch against the e-brake, and then let off the brakes so you go up the hill and you don't burn out. And once I got that down, then I was like, cool to go drive on the road. And that was the first time that I drove that car. Like I said, I learned to drive on the Cressida, but that was an automatic. And then I immediately bought a pickup truck because I was going too fast in the Corolla, and I got that. Remember, I had that 82 Toyota 4x4 for a while? That was my attempt at slowing down after a buddy and we jumped over an oncoming car. It was a moment of reckoning for me and my friend that we needed to slow down.
Yeah, and there's times where I was driving with you, and that car, you could take the wheel off of.
Oh no, that was the Civic. That was
Civic.
later.
Okay,
that was I scared you and Tommy with that one. I got a Miata, right, and it ended up being the lowest VIN Miata in the country, which means it had all pre-production parts, and it was basically a race car. And these guys at a shop traded me a Civic for it that had over 1,000 pounds taken off of the car. It was a super lightweight, super stiff Civic, and it came with a steering wheel that you could remove from the car, so that if it was really tight to get in, you could put the wheel on after you were sitting down in your race harness. But I took that off the car maybe a couple of times. Just like in that pickup truck. I don't know if I ever went on two wheels with you. I had a posit traction in it, and I'd flip it up on two wheels, and I could drive it on two wheels. And I was always practicing that at Foothill. Remember, I was at Foothill College there for a while. And they have that tiered driveway. It's like just terraces, you know? So I would go sideways on the terrace in the truck, you know, and then go two wheels and be all like, wee, like this. So I got it down where I didn't need the terrace. I could just whip the steering wheel and get on two wheels and drive it on two wheels. And that was a lot of fun, man. I scared a lot of people doing that.
Oh, yeah. Your driving prowess.
You remember the time we went to the beach, Jason? You remember when you jumped out of my Corolla?
Oh, yeah.
Because I had that four-wheel drive Corolla that I got from Aaron car because you were scared. And then you kind of looked around and you're like, this is not a good place to be outside of a car at all. And you jumped back in the car. That shit was so funny. You remember when we got back out on the beach, that one old lady started laughing, and then the whole beach started laughing at us? The entire sold out beach, like a mile in both directions, was just all laughing at us in that car.
You're the only one that probably drove on to Bonnie Dunes with your car. That's what I'm saying. Like
that was Pismo Dunes. That was Pismo.
That's right, Pismo.
Yeah,
it was
right, because everybody else brings something and then they tow it in and they drive it and then they tow it back out. And here we were just in a car, not even a lifted car, just like a car. That was awesome. Yeah. I'll never forget doing that.
Yeah, it was a fun time, man. That whole trip was pretty crazy, man. But
it was. You remember the girls down in LA?
Oh yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, dude, go back to when. Tell me how you first met Aaron and Galen and all them when you first met the crew.
Oh yeah, so that segues back to the music scene for sure. Mm-hmm. I remember your band Slobber. We had quite a following on your band, and everybody would go to the Slobber shows. Can you tell me if you guys played at Chuck's Donuts? Did Slobber play at Chuck's?
That was actually the Monroes. That was the band that I had with Sean.
Oh, that's right. Ken was in.
Yeah.
I'm still convinced that those cops fucked with his car, man.
I know, like, for me, that show that you're talking about, Chuck's Donuts, I had literally just got back from Ireland. Me and Lee were on Ireland, and when we got off the straight up plane, we drove right to Chuck's Donuts and played that show. It was pretty crazy.
Oh, that was awesome. That was a good show. Yeah. It sucks like Dave leaned out the window and broke it. But we didn't have any more shows. We broke the mural. There was that awesome mural on the glass, that like 50s Pharrell Donuts classic dude with the stack of donuts, you know?
Oh, yeah. Was that the
one that got broken at the show?
Oh, man. Yeah, that was a classic one, the old Chuck's Donuts guy, you know. It was
the old Chuck's Donuts guy, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was a shame because it wasn't like a fight broke out or somebody did vandalism. It was just Leach leaned against the window and it just happened to break. and it was the end of it. We couldn't do it after that.
Man. Bummer. Dude, also, I remember like in high school, man, like you were doing a lot of robotic stuff. So tell me, like,
this is true. I had the choice between doing the first year of First Robotics or the first year of Robot Wars. Okay. And I did Robot Wars and we won. We won the first year. We were the last man standing. We were like the most powerful robot in the world. We got in all these like German newspapers and we were world famous. And
so how did you get into Robot Wars though? How did that come about?
First Robotics at Woodside, there was a girl, Rebecca Vogel, I had a crush on, and I should have, in hindsight, maybe gone and at least participated a little bit in First Robotics. They were pretty legit, you know? I got a lot of recognition from doing Robot Wars, and I ended up being pretty critical in the legal battle to keep it an open sport. So I'm glad that I went that direction. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like, well, First Robotics is going to do fine, but Robot Wars, maybe this is pretty cool, and they're going to need some help culturally. I was pretty instrumental in the culture of showing everybody what you have, as opposed to just like hiding everything and then fighting and just being secretive. And so that was something I'm definitely proud of, is influencing that open maker culture at a very early time in when it was very fragile.
Yeah, I remember we used to go to Makers Fair stuff all the time back in the days before it even got really big, right? You know, it was over in San Mateo. Yeah.
Dude, San Mateo, right? So I was doing security for Robot Olympics, like back in those early Maker Fair days. And I've been working on the security and culture since, call it 94. And this is maybe 2011. So everything's working well. I'm like, wow. And finally, I have a crew that's doing everything right. I don't have to go in and cherry pick the difficult, risky tasks for myself. Like, it's all going down. I'm going to go get some lunch. I talked to my friend. He was like, you should just go get some lunch, man. I'm like, all right. So I go down to Buck's restaurant in Woodside and I get myself some French onion soup or whatever, a nice light lunch. I'm driving back towards the Expo Center and I turn my phone off because I don't want my phone to ring in the restaurant, you know? From underneath Farm Hill, you know where Kenyatta is?
Oh, yeah.
So you know Farm Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how there's a big metal grate there at the underpass? If you drive underneath Farm Hill, if you drive underneath 280 on Farm Hill,
without the bridge,
southbound 280, there's a big metal grate there. Anyways, from within this metal grate, a military Apache helicopter flies out. Not from Half Moon Bay, not from Moffett, but from underneath Farm Hill Boulevard, bro. Like it just goes, boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And it's like a stoplight distance away from me, flying backwards at 3:00 in the afternoon with no other cars on the road. And the Amber Alert says, Morgan, turn back on your cell phone. Yeah. And so I went back to my house, and they had a limo show up to go meet Obama at his inaugural campaign dinner at the Masonic Center. And I didn't go because I was like scared. I was like, you guys just pointed a cannon at me. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to. Somebody points it's a little personal advice, Jason. If somebody points a gun at you, don't go to that party. But if somebody points a cannon at you off of a helicopter, really seriously think about what your options are at that point in terms of like your right to privacy and not getting your car blown up in the middle of the afternoon on the freeway.
It sounded like they wanted you to answer that phone. Who was on the phone?
Probably Obama.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, maybe it was something important.
Fuck him. He's people in a helicopter. I don't care. It's not my boss. I voted for the guy, but I'm not about to go fucking throw skins down off of a 30mm cannon. Like, fuck that. So there was one time, though, get this. This is the coolest story ever, right? Get this. That was U.S. involvement, right? I told you I used to do document currying. There was one time I had like a really sketchy day, and I was living in Redwood City, so I decided to go the back way through town as opposed to taking my normal route home because I don't want to get followed, right? So I'm driving by the Redwood City police station there on Maple, and this fucking 8-wheeled dual Gatling gun anti-aircraft manned assault vehicle from British Alpha Engineering. I've never seen a picture or anything like this before. All the 4 wheels turn in the front, and it's got another 4 in the back. And there's 5 dudes on this thing. They're all wearing body armor. They got their helmets on. They're manning the fucking cannons. They got M16s or AR-15s strapped to them. Everyone's strapped, including the guy shotgun is strapped, holding the weapon. And the license plate on this thing is just a white paper license plate in blue and white that says government contractor. So they cut me off in front of the police station and break this thing to the ground. They drop the air suspension to the ground and put out the little thingies or whatever to stabilize it, and these guys are on the guns. Like, these are like cannons again, like they're Gatling cannons. And I go to pass them, and the guy's like, nope, he flags me down. I'm like, okay, don't pass him, And so I'm behind him in front. We're blocking the driveway to the police station, right? They air brake up, start driving, and I follow them, and they basically take me near to my house where I wave them off, and they go a different direction. I go to my house. And I go down to the police station later that afternoon. I was like, guys, did you just see that fucking tank? And they were like, no, we don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. And so I called up the Pentagon, and I was like talking about it. And usually if you call a Pentagon or something like that, like they're not going to pick up and they're not going to call back. But they call back, and they call back like right away. And we're talking about this shit. Like, what else going on? It's an international incident, Mm-hmm. And so I go back, and I go back to the police station the next day, and I was like, hey, do you guys remember the tank? And they're like, yeah, we remember the fucking tank. Because they got shut down. It was like both on the Redwood City Police. Like, what are they going to do? Nothing. Yeah. Are they going to get called for a helicopter? It's going to get shot down.
Yeah. So what did they say? Why did they do that? Like, what was their?
Fuck if I know.
But what did they say over the phone? Because they knew the day.
Why did I feel like it was a sketchy day? I didn't have any particular proof that was telling me that today was sketch. But God damn it! Hold on.
Don't worry, all good.
Hey, Rich, let me call you back. I'm about to head out, but I'm on an interview. But I'm a popular guy today, Jason.
Yeah, no worries, man. Was it the Pentagon?
Nah, my buddy Richie. I'm going to his birthday party down in Scotts Valley after this.
Oh, nice. Scotts Valley, man. I just got back from a beer fest over there not that long.
Oh, nice. You know what I got for you? Because I got a case of it.
What's that?
Legally obtained 96% pure grain Polish alcohol.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right now I'm just drinking White Claw, so I bet it's better than that.
Well, you can add it to stuff. Like if you drink it straight, it's obviously very hot, but you can mix it and it's really clean. It's like the best. Pre-diluted vodka, you know what I'm saying? Those got all the impurities are gone.
Brad, that sounds really
You're not
good.
supposed to have that in California, but like I said, I got it legally off of old stock, and fuck it.
Yeah.
Might as well enjoy responsibly.
As long as it doesn't make me go more blind, then I'm all about it.
No, it's clean that way. It's not ethyl. It's actual. It's labeled. It's not like some moonshine or something. It's real. It's legit. I wouldn't offer it if it wasn't legit.
Hell yeah.
Do you remember the alcohol back in the day from your brother's wife's brother's brother?
Oh yeah.
That was crazy shit. You remember that? I was
Yeah,
in the backflip.
the Pruno type stuff. Yeah, the old school made. Do you remember? So I used to brew my own alcohol myself. Remember back?
I don't know, but not like that alcohol. That was alcohol where I was doing backflips. You remember?
That was Sean. Yeah, that was my brother Sean that did that one.
Dude,
yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah, that was some crazy good stuff, dude. Going back to those times, man. I think that was during the time when I think that was like the height of like Robot Wars and BattleBot.
Dude, when that shit got on point, we were renting out the biggest building on Treasure Island. I had groupies from Florida Hooters, 4 of them, come and just fucking show up and try to me. I had the 49ers cheerleaders. They flashed me. Fuck, I was hanging out with Carmen Electra. I got Carmen Electra's signature on one of the weapons in the other room.
Yeah, man. Like, it was crazy times. I saw you on, like, the Jay Leno show.
Think about this on the Jay Leno show, on the Tonight Show, right? Like, YouTube video, or let's say Taylor Swift releases a video, right? How many viewings does she get on that at the beginning when it's live? You know, like couple million, right? We did 240 million US viewing households live. Wow. Not like over the period on a YouTube thing where people click on it randomly. This was live TV. There's like 300 million viewing households in the US at that time. And we had 240 million of them tuned into my ass giving Jay Leno the bunny ears.
God save the Queen, buddy. This is all about Mahler. Mahler, Mahler, Mahler. We may not have royalty, but we do have the engaging Tilford family. Let's check them out.
There's nothing more American than family. And in the quiet town of Portola Valley, California, the family that brings us Mahler teaches us a new family motto.
We're different. Piss off.
Some families ski together, some families race boats. We like to smash robots.
Well, pound the snot out of them is the technical term.
When my dad heard about robotic combat, he brought it up at the dinner table, and we all went, cool, that sounds cool.
Fighting robots? How cool is that?
And I fully expect this to rip the hell out of the competition.
90% of the robots you just kill.
They won't have a chance.
The other guy is screwed.
And it's a hell of a lot of fun.
When you're creating something as a family, you can, as a group, say, yeah, we built that. That was us.
Some devastated opponents might find bitter irony in the fact that Mahler tears other robots apart and yet brings the Tilford family closer together.
So needless to say, that was a pretty intense time for you during that time. Tell me, like, how was it like going to school and doing that?
Working at Bevmo, having a $500 a month, 5-bedroom mansion, a fucking 60s sports car, a 90s supercar, women, like parents trying to get my permission to take their children's virginity and shit. Like, crazy shit, bro. Like, I had like 18-year-olds in high school trying to get me to do pornos with them. I didn't do it because I was on television, you know? And it was such a paradigm shift to go from, 140 pounds, skinny, fit, but kind of undersung, random half black dude at Woodside, where like, the people who knew me knew I was pretty crazy, but like I was pretty low key on the radar. And then to going like that high in radar, like that fast, it was so intense, man. Like I don't even know how to describe that. Like it was terrifying.
If you've ever wondered what kind of people build killer robots, this visit with the Tilford family ought to give you a pretty good idea. Meet the Tilfords.
I'm Supreme Commander and Chief Engineer Charles Tilford of the South Bay Robo Warriors. Our robot is Mahler 2000. My team is comprised of my 2 sons, General Morgan and General Henry. Mahler's goal is total robotic domination worldwide.
I think we have what it takes. We're taking over the world.
They may seem unscrupulous, but there's still a heartwarming side to this family.
You have to make the other robot your bitch.
It was absolutely terrifying.
So what was the most terrifying experience? Like, tell me one specific thing during that point.
Oh, when I took a giant hammer and started jerking it off at the 49er cheerleaders, and as opposed to being reprimanded, escorted out by security, or otherwise admonished, they flashed me. And it just, something broke in my brain, like, this doesn't make sense. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't go to say you go to a football game and you take one of those big fingers and you put it to where your dick is and you start stroking it point blank at the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
You're going to get tackled, bro.
Yeah.
Something bad is going to happen to you, and they're not going to take off their clothes.
Unless you're a celebrity.
Unless you're me and you happen to do that on Treasure Island where the police come and get you because the mayor wants a picture with you.
And so you got a picture with the mayor after that?
I did. Willie Brown. Willie Brown himself. He was like, go get that man. He's the man. Dude, the CEO of BattleBot still calls me on at least a monthly basis just to touch base. He's my homie. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been through some crazy stuff together. And just to touch base and be like, man, if there's any way you ever want to come back, that'd be great. You know? It's pretty cool bonds that you form with the robot fighting. That's the part that I miss, honestly, is the bonds and the camaraderie with my friends. And there was a point where I got blackballed and backstabbed, and it took away that camaraderie for me, and that's why I haven't been involved since.
Which is a shame, because there were some really cool times, man. I seen you in the hot tub with Gene Simmons' wife.
Oh, no. That was Vince Neil's wife.
Vince Neil's wife. Oh, okay.
Heidi Mark, Playmate of the Month at the time, I think. And she wanted to be a veterinarian. She said it was just like a temporary marriage, a stepping stool to the next half of her life, and that was, you know, like something that was understood with her and her husband. And I contacted her a couple of years ago. She was out in Colorado. She's a veterinarian. She has a family. She does her thing. Probably the worst actress I've ever worked with. Honestly, she had a lot of trouble delivering the lines, so we had to do a lot of retakes. But I don't mean to diss her. I think she was an amazing person. She wasn't signed up as an actress. She's a model. She's a great model, and she did ultimately deliver our lines in a way that was iconic and awesome.
Behind Mauler 5150, though, there's a whole family with bad intentions. We sent our beauty Heidi Mark out to tame the beast within one of them, General Morgan Tilford. Take a look.
I've heard all about those crazy Tilfords and their robot, Mauler 5150. They appear a little on the wild side in need of some domestication before the big battle in Vegas. And I have the perfect plan.
Hi, Heidi. What's up?
Hi, Supreme Commander Tilford. Can General Morgan come out and play with me?
Sure, here he is.
Thank you.
Oh, Heidi, what's going on? What are you doing here?
I have the biggest surprise plan for you. Just come on, don't
let's go.
Just come on.
Let's go.
I think General Morgan could use a little fine dining etiquette lesson. Thank you. I'm taking him to restaurant 231 Ellsworth, where my friend James Callahan will enlighten him.
Heidi, nice to see you.
You too.
I'm James. Nice to meet you.
General Morgan.
You would use the cork only to see if the wine wouldn't actually smell it. I won't tell you anything.
I don't know.
What you would do is look at the cork to make sure there's not moisture seeping down the edge of it.
Gotcha, I see.
It's done its job. You can tell, in this case, very obviously.
Can we drink it now?
Absolutely. For this dish, you start with your outside fork, which is the smaller, and the outside knife, which is smaller as well. Oftentimes you won't have a larger and a smaller knife. In this case you do. You work from the outside in.
All right, etiquette schmetiquette. Who am I kidding?
Oh, man, I can't remember any of those etiquette rules, but who cares? I've got Heidi Marks and beer. Yeah, hot tub limo. Oh, yeah. BattleBots. What a lifestyle.
Who was the best actor you worked with?
I'm going to say Bill Nye.
And that was from, was that Ben Stein's Money or no?
No, that was just on Treasure Island doing interviews and stuff. I don't think any of the Bill Nye stuff made it to TV. He was interviewing actually with my dad, and I pulled the interview because they were kind of not getting along well, and I didn't like what was happening. Bill Nye doesn't like what he does. He's an actual scientist. He doesn't like being a parody of a scientist, but he owns it and he does it. And he does it well. And he's accepted that that's his fate, And that's something that I respect a lot. To have that humility to know that you're reaching people even though it's not the way that you want to. This reminds me of when Mean Dave used to have me on his radio show.
Yes. See, I didn't even know he had a radio show.
He did. He did that with Keon Cobra.
Huh.
You should talk to him about that. You know Mean Dave, right?
I do know Mean Dave, definitely.
Yeah, hit him up about his radio show. That's an interesting story.
Dude, also, didn't you play tuba on stage with Spaz one time?
I played tuba on stage with Slobber.
Oh, okay.
At the Gilman. Men are pigs.
That shows where my brain was at that time.
Yeah. Men are pigs. Drugs and sex are all they want. Men are pigs. Drugs and sex are all they want.
That's even better lyric.
That was so fun.
I forgot to ask, what's the name of your gecko?
Oh, this is Tsuchiba the Drift King, also known as Gary.
Very cool. He's a chill lizard.
He's like 20 years old. He's a very mellow cat.
You were at the height of the battle bots. You were at the 49er game on the height. So what happened?
It wasn't a cheerleader game. It was at the Treasure Island. Yeah.
So what happened? So it was it seemed like you were up top of the world with the battle bots and everything. What happened after? So what can you say what happened, or just something just it stopped, or what was the deal with that?
No, I mean I stayed in it for a long time after BattleBots had gone away, and it was just Robo Games and Robot Olympics and stuff by David Calkins, who's a friend of mine, kind of. But I ran security, and I was like right-hand man. What happened is I tried to fight a robot, and they really wanted me to also be a volunteer, and that's just not possible to do because fielding an entry of a robot takes all your time, and your money.
Yeah. So you're like, I don't want to do it anymore.
No, I just want to fight a robot. But then, I didn't give a shit, and I probably should have done my hair better and shit like that. They didn't like me on the screen tests, I think. So I was out. They kicked me out.
So then after that, what did you wind up doing with did you still do robot things, or what were you doing after that?
No, it got to a conflict of security interests. It's one of those things that shit, like the last 6 times I've flown, they've patted me down for chemicals. And that kind of shit gets obnoxious after a while. It really does. And so that's where I backed out of it. I haven't done that shit in years. I talked to the CEO of BattleBots pretty frequently. We plan to get together and hang out sometime, and then probably with his cousin also, the CFO, Greg. I have a really cool print for him. So I want to see his reaction to it.
Well, another thing that not that many people might know is me and you, we both used to work at the Scientific Revolution back.
Oh, wow. That was a cool story.
Yeah. So I think you were already working there when I first started going there. You were the first one to show me the Levitron.
Yeah, that was tricky. That's a fun toy.
Yeah.
Floating magnet.
Yeah. Dude, there were some pretty crazy celebrities that used to go into that store.
Yeah, that's true. Like Ryan and I got offered a job by the CEO of KLA 10 Corps, and we didn't quite understand what an opportunity that was. Or I didn't, at least. I don't think Ryan did at the time either. We wanted to finish going to college and stuff like that. But like KLA 10 Corps is a massive multinational company, and this was the CEO, He wanted us to head the Employee Appreciation Division, which would have been so fun. We would have been able to completely make it up as we went along with an unlimited budget.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a cool spot, man. I got to run into Chelsea Clinton, invite her to your epic party that you had where
I never invited Chelsea to the party. If she
I
saw
did.
a flyer, she saw it, but I don't think she was there.
Yeah, no, she wasn't there, but I invited her to the party. I was
Oh,
like,
that's good. Yeah,
come to
no, of
Morgan's
course. Why
huge
not?
party at the thing, and she's like, "Oh no!" But that was
That's funny.
That party was epic as hell. I can only imagine afterwards, right? Like all the aftermath of it, right? It was
I have a picture somewhere of a dumpster just completely full of shit. And then we found hella kegs like out in the woods, like all over there were just kegs.
That was one of those parties that, like, I think it was the only party I've ever been a part of where I was going to buy beer for the party at a liquor store, and I saw flyers to it, and I was like, "Wait, there's flyers to this party?" And it was
right.
insane. You're living on top of the hill there at the time in your house, and Slobber was lucky enough to play there, and it was just mad fools.
Dude, there was a cover band of Slobber that played there.
There was a cover band of Slobber? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they came up from Visalia, bro.
Whoa.
All the way up from Visalia to play the party as a cover band of Slobber.
I didn't even see that.
Oh, man. Just like Tom Sawyering the whole thing, like advertising all this beer and not buying any beer, and like having somebody steal beer and making them go with Pat and get like a keg as penance, or they had to leave. And then like there was a keg, so other people bought kegs and other people had parties. And there were parties at hella houses around my house that had like other parties.
Oh man, that was an epic party.
Pretty good party, yeah.
Yeah. Your lizard's crazy.
Yeah, he's pretty fun.
No, but you're really good at off-roading and stuff too. You've gone off-roading all over the place.
Yeah, no, I have a good physical sense. Like I have a good like athletic sense, you know, for off-roading and driving and stuff. I'm pretty skilled. I don't want to brag, but like, yeah, I have a lot of experience driving. That's what I do all day is drive cars. So I'm very, familiar with getting into a random vehicle and being able to drive it. Getting into things that you've never been into before, and then making them pass smog or test drive them, or driving for the oxygen sensors or whatever.
What did you do after scientific?
No, I was driving the whole time though. Like on the side, I was a courier from when I turned 18. But basically when I was about 18, I started driving for my folks' print company. But a lot of it was pretty high security side work, and I didn't really understand that. But I mean, I guess I did, which is why I was really pro about it. That's why you guys never saw it,
Hey, I heard a lot about it,
Oh, yeah.
What you're saying from it. I love your lizard. That's just so bad he's jumping to and fro.
Yeah, he jumped at the camera right there. That was pretty funny.
That's badass.
Here he goes, right?
So what's something about you that you would want to tell people?
Shit. If you're going to blow fireballs, don't blow them straight up over your head, because you'll catch your head on fire every time. And if you do catch your head on fire, remember to pull your t-shirt over your head, because that'll extinguish the flame immediately and you won't burn yourself.
Has that happened to you?
Several times, yes. Well, I like to blow fireballs with like 151 or whatever, One time I was in Texas and I blew a giant ring, and then I blew a fireball through the ring.
How did you learn how to do that?
Practice. Luck.
Where did you practice blowing fireballs at?
Anywhere outside that you can blow a fireball.
Was this why you're crushing cars, the tanks with your neighbor?
No, I didn't start blowing fireballs until I was maybe about 30.
Gotcha. Well, what else other than blowing fireballs? What's another thing that you would want people to know that might not know about you?
Oh, okay. If you're bleaching your mohawk, remember that vinegar will stop the bleach if you get it on your skin or your eyes, or you need to stop it in your hair.
That's good advice.
That's good advice.
And then I remember you used to live over by the Canyon Inn, right? There was like a little...
Oh, I did. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I never got a chance to go in for some reason. I always had to meet you from the outside, right? Were they just like really not into having people over there? Or?
No, my room was just a wreck. I was schizophrenic and I was embarrassed about my room, so it was really messy.
And you said at that time you were saying you weren't feeling so good, so hot about your room.
No, not at all. I was doing okay online and in my career, but my personal life was just a complete wreck. Like so wrecked. You have no idea it was so bad. Oh, come on here, lizard.
So
There
what
we
was
go.
happening? What was going down?
Oh no, it was just like depression and like I said, like schizophrenia.
When did you first think that you had that? Like what was there any
I
kind of
knew I was
sign?
gonna have some problems in like fourth grade because I like bunked on these tests, and the teacher was like, "Yeah, that's you're gonna be nuts," pretty much, like paraphrasing it, you know. Because there's like a certain level of brain activity that if it's too high, that it's not, it doesn't become more productive. So just paranoia and going through. You got to understand the level of paranoia that I had at that point in my life. You know, like volunteering for some friend's fucking robot show. As far as I'm concerned, it's like not some big ass deal. I'm not even like allowed in, but like I'm still somehow I haven't been able to pass the baton on the security yet. So I'm still running international UN Secret Service security as the liaison to those organizations to ensure a safe robot tournament. And I just thought I think that's awesome. And it's sad that like not every tournament gets security like that, but they just really didn't want anything going bad at that tournament, you know? You know, so I helped them and kind of like signed off on stuff, but at the same time, like I was having people break into my room like all the time and I didn't understand it. And I was getting like notes put under my pillow by people. Oh, where'd you go? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, sorry, I must have clicked something wrong. You disappeared there for a sec. But anyways, no, like I was getting security council meeting invitations under my pillow in the time span of me locking my door, walking 8 steps to the bathroom, peeing, walking back, unlocking my door, and going into my room, and there's already a fucking security note underneath my pillow. So at this point, I understand that there's a very personal threat to my well-being and livelihood and life because people can do that, you know? Like that's a intimidation thing. That's not, I mean, it's fancy and it's impressive, but at the same time, like I don't like being intimidated into things.
And this was at the house that was over by the Canyon Inn?
Yeah.
Okay. And this was after the security thing or during that security?
No, that's what I'm saying. That was during it.
Okay.
And I had a Facebook account called Zuckerberg. And I turned it off at one point, and I got called up by the fucking Navy, who said that they lost some 11% of their neural net off of that click, and I was to turn it back on and turn it over. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, you know?
Did you turn it back on?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. They find it over, and they made it disappear or whatever.
And so that's right. Then, so you moved out of that place though because of that, or was it just because?
No, I went to the hospital. I lost my shit. I was riding a mini bike around town and like fucking up traffic and just being crazy. And the cops got me and they asked me if I wanted a ticket or to go to the hospital. And I was like, oh, I'll go to the hospital. You know, I've been in the hospital 15 times, JP, as far as I can count.
15?
Yeah.
And that was the first time with the
Never for like 72 hours or some bullshit like that, like for weeks. The first one was when I got back from England. You can read a book called Gearheads by Brad Stone if you're really curious as to what happened. And it's a book that was done by a Wired magazine editor-chief or whatever of Wired magazine back in the day as an expose on the legal dealings on that sport and the history of it. So there's a point in the book where it just basically says that I lost my shit and dropped out, which is of course bullshit. Like I got drugged. I talked to Pentagon Civil Liberties about it. They confirmed that they did try to kill me. You know, it's not some like random wild theory at this point. It's a fact, you know. And I'm a G, so I didn't get killed.
Sweet, cool. Well, what kind of, so with someone that's dealing with, you know, you have, You said you yourself, you have some schizophrenia with you. So what would something...
Right, and that's the irony of it, JP, is like, not only is my cover for doing high level shit the fact that I'm crazy and what I would say like in court wouldn't necessarily be admissible, but then at the same time I really have mental health problems.
Yeah.
So like the first time I was at Stanford, I got pulled out of group therapy by the Army, and they wanted help with making helicopters semi-autonomous so that they wouldn't be crashed under, really conditions that human pilots have trouble with, like pitching decks and fog and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told them some stuff about how they could do that. But it was not an appropriate way to page me. I had at the one hospital, they were going to kill me. I'm convinced of that. If I stayed at PALS Medical Foundation, I would not be having this conversation with you right now.
Really? How did you
100%. 100%.
What made you think that?
Because they forced me to take an unmarked medication with threat of sodomy. If I didn't take it in my mouth, they were going to shove it in my ass.
What medication was that?
Supposedly it was Zyprexa, but I don't think it was real Zyprexa. I think this was some unmarked white shellfish toxin or some agent to kill me or fuck me up so they could be like, oh my God, he's really bad. Oh, well, shit, we lost him or whatever, Part of why I got so paranoid is my doctor at Stanford told me openly that he had been told to kill me.
By who?
The administration of Stanford.
Oh, at least he told. So was he like, I'm not going to try now? Or
no, he took me in his office and he said it like, privately pretty much. And just said you have to leave, for your own safety. Because the politics run that deep. Like people were jealous that I was the liaison, shit like that. They're like, why are you listening to this guy? He's nuts, that kind of thing. But at the same time, I knew my shit more than anybody else because I'd done it for 20 years. These guys are coming in with a week experience on it. Who are you going to ask? The guy that's been there the longest, obviously.
So, what advice would you give people that's dealing with some mental health? Because I think it's
get help. Get help in group therapy. By getting help, I mean getting someone who can talk to you about maybe prescribing drugs, or if not that, I think the best option if you want your questions answered is you go to your county hospital, find a group. It'll be like some random thing like anger group or some rotating topic or whatever, but there'll be some kind of a group. And what you do is you go to group therapy and you don't talk about your shit, man. You stay there for like a week or so and keep going, maybe 5-6 times. Listen to what else everybody has to say in your group and then talk about your shit. Because that's when they'll be interested to hear it, and it allows you to add to the group.
A lot of people, what I've realized is it's the thing of realizing that you have the problem to go and fix it, right? Like, was there a time where you knew, like, before you're like, okay, well, maybe something's wrong, was it that time with the bike or was there something else?
First time that I knew I had mental health problems was, after I hit my head on that bicycle. I've had concussions before. I had my first one when I was like 6, but that was a severe head trauma.
So that was that same time that you were saying when you were on the bike in the middle of the street where the cops got called, right?
No, I was talking about up in Humboldt. I had a really nasty head injury up in Humboldt.
What happened in Humboldt?
I jumped off some stairs on my bike and it flexed wrong, and I had shocks in the front. They're floppy a little bit, I just didn't hit enough stairs for the transition, and I just wailed maybe there were 10 stairs and then a 10-foot flat and another 10 stairs. And I hit the last 2 stairs, and I needed 5 stairs to land on and compress the bike and not just land flat. And I landed pretty I only landed on. I didn't get my weight far enough back before I landed, and it didn't work out. That was crazy, man. Like I was going to school and I would get out of bed and I'd have this headache. And I'd go make breakfast and I'd have this headache, this hazy headache. And I'd take a shower and then get on my bike, and I'm on my bike and I'm riding to school, and all of a sudden everything in the world turns left. It just, everything flips like doop.
Wow.
And it was like that. Only I was like normal still. So like everything was like that. But I would wake up and I'd be in bed and I wouldn't be able to open my eyes or move. And I'd just sit there until I fell back asleep. And I would fall asleep and I'd wake up and I'd get up and then this hazy headache, you know? And I'd say get onto my bike and I bike to school. And then I'd get to my first period class and I take it. And I got this headache, and then at some point the room would flip left, and I'd be like, "What the fuck, man?" And so then I would wake up, and I'd be in my room, and I wouldn't be able to move, and I wouldn't be able to open my eyes. But then I would wait, and I would fall asleep, and then I would do the same thing. I would get a little bit farther in the day until I got to the end of the day, and then that was the end of the semester. And so the next semester I just took off because I knew I had some really serious issues to deal with. And I had gone to the doctors up there and they basically said there's not much you can do except for just try to rehabilitate it, you know? And it was a gnarly accident, bro. My shoulder was below my nipple. And I set it myself and passed out after the accident. It was pretty severe.
Wow. So that's when you started feeling different.
Yeah, and like when I went to the dean after I took the semester off, he asked me where I'd gone, and I said, well, you know, I'm sorry. Obviously, I was failing, and I just didn't feel like this is obviously not working out. And he said, well, other than woodshop where you have an F, you're the second in the class. So you have an F, but you're second in the class.
You're second with an F?
Right. So everything else is aced, like the ace of aces. And he said that after class, they would sit me down and they'd all ask questions, and I'd have all these crazy correct answers. And he was like, we should have been paying you. It was really weird. And but that was when I was unconscious.
So unconsciously,
so I have a really weird unconscious ability, Jason. Like, I got mugged, right? In Santa Cruz, and I had 8 guys hit me in the face really hard trying to pass me out, you know? And I didn't even flinch at all. And I just smiled at them and they ran away. And then I went to the police and I was like, hey, we gotta go get these guys. And they're like, well, you just got you knocked fucked up, so we're gonna have you checked out by the hospital or the fucking EMTs because you got fucking, your eyes are torqued, you know? And you just got hit like fuck. So I'm in the ambulance and they're like, dude, you have no blood sugar. You have a 0 glycemic index. I'm like, well, you know, 0 glycemic index. What does that mean? Like, we don't know what that means, but you shouldn't be talking right now. Like, you should be completely not. But that was me passed out. You know what I'm saying? I'm wide awake and I can remember it, but that's me passed out.
Wow.
And passed out me, like, is different. There was one time I threw 150 knives into the same hole consecutively. You know what I'm saying? 150 knife throws, 3 knives, but 150 throws. And, like, all into, but, like, not just from one place in the room, like, running around the room, going from around the corners, going between the legs, like, whatever, like, anything I wanted to do, just, like, it pulls off and it works. But I have to be, like, fucked up. And that's some weird shit, dude.
Well, like I said, I've seen you do a flip on that drink, so yeah.
I should get a drink. Hold on.
It's 4 drinks deep. What you sipping on there, Morgan?
I'm not. I got something right here. Hold on. Can you see that?
Oh, nice.
Look at the proof.
Oh, crap. You're sipping on that?
Yeah, that's the shit.
Yikes. All right, don't blow any fireballs. That's like 125 drinks deep. Yes. Yes.
Whew.
I do have to say this, Morgan. Out of everyone I know, you are the funnest person. I've had so many, like, man. I met so many
amazing I had the
people.
Corolla fill, Jason. We should have gone
know.
on more Pismo trips.
Yeah, I know, man. I met so many fun people through you too, through different parties. And one thing that's definitely,
likewise, JP.
yeah, like
you introduced me to some really good friends.
Yeah, and like everywhere I go, people are like, Morgan. They're like, you are like known, man. Do you naturally think you have that kind of gift of the gab, or was it something that you had to create or come up with? Like, how do you?
I'll put it like this. I was trying to tell you a story, right?
Yep.
So I called up this chick a couple years ago. That was my friend at Foothill. And I asked her to confirm a story for me. And she was like, look, I'm married and all this. And I'm like, I'm not trying to hit on you. I just like, I just want you to confirm the story. She's like, all right. You know Foothill College?
I went there.
So I'm sitting on that grass there with this chick and a folded paper airplane, and I throw it, and it goes way up in the air, and it flips over, and it catches the current, and it flies more or less over the swimming pool. It goes super far, Jason. It goes out like over the bridge to where the athletic department is.
Yep.
Turns around, comes back, goes over the library behind us, circles back around, and then lands in her lap. So I just, like, that happened. And I wasn't like, I don't know how that worked out, That's something that you can't explain in any way. Like, the statistics of it landing in her lap are so infinite,
And then you asked her out after that, right?
No, she asked me out, and I bailed.
Why'd you bail?
Because I bail on all girls. I always do.
Well, not anymore. You got to stop doing that. No, don't.
No, I'll bail on chicks till I die.
Why?
Because.
Because why?
I don't know. I just have trauma with chicks, and I just like it's not worth my time to unless I run into somebody really spectacular,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I'm a runner.
You're a runner? Okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, you're such a fun person though, right?
No, it's crazy that I'm still single. It is, but as I've had a lot of women that I've been in love with for sure. I'm not that active in seeking out chicks right now. I'm a hard nut to crack in that sense, JP. I've had a lot of girls really like me. There's this one girl that I used to call Numbers, and I wish I had married her. She asked me to marry her, and I should have done that.
Well, is she still around?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, here's to Numbers right here.
Oh, for real? Yes.
Sounds like a cool chick. Where did you meet her from?
In Vallejo.
Ah.
Hold on one second.
Yep.
Yo. All right, thank you.
Are you all good?
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, no, I gotta bounce. It's dinner time.
All righty, Morgan. Thank you so much. Hey, I appreciate coming on and everything. Really quickly, I always end every one of these things with, what do you think of the kids today?
Oh, I think the kids today are a force to be reckoned with in the sense that they act like a hive. Like, I was listening to the radio this morning about the Bay Bridge being shut down last night for a sideshow. Like a very, very large sideshow on the Bay Bridge. They shut it down. That takes coordination, and coordination without infiltration. You know what I'm saying? Because the cops didn't hear about it. But all these kids had this network that allowed them to have complete social anarchy. And so in America, they have nothing to protest in that sense, so they just do burnouts. There's a protest culture in this country. Ultimately, that it's good, because if we ever did need something to happen in terms of very real civic involvement, like a war or just a real economic need, that if politicians were tapping into that youth, that freaking 15 to 28-year-old or whatever it is, this would be a very different. Those are the kids that are going to be voting. I don't know who starts a freaking sideshow like that, but there's got to be some like lords of it also, who probably have their lists and organization down. I think that's just pretty dangerous in a sense, because it's the classic misspent youth. I think this country, we're super fortunate to be able to do stuff like that. Say on one hand, like, oh, that's reckless, that wastes time, and that's dangerous and all that shit. But on the other hand, it's like, all right, was it that bad? Were these guys like throwing bricks at windows or like having a genocide or something? They're just fucking doing burnouts, So maybe it's not so bad, because there's all this negative energy and shootings and stuff like that, and instead, like, the culture here is to go do burnouts. So maybe that's okay, I guess. I don't know. Shutting down the bridge is kind of lame too.
Yeah. Well, dude, Morgan, here's to you, one of the greatest, most complicated, but most amazing friends I have. Cheers.
Thank you, JP. You are an amazing friend too, Jason. You've introduced me to wild friends and good times.
And you're number one of them. For sure. Hey, so anything in the future, what are you going to be doing?
My plan is to live in my cave and work my job and save some money and get cool cars, do fun things in them, and then get other cool cars.
Hell yeah. All right, Morgan, go ahead and have dinner, and cheers yours, brother. Thank you so much.
So one last thing, all right, Jason, ready?
Yeah.
I don't know if this works. You see, these are my mini cars. They are very small. You can see next to my phone and all that.
Hell yes, brother. All right, good night.
Cheers, bro.